And in terms of the activity for the analyze potential value, this activity, the stakeholders that are very important for us are obviously, like we've been discussing, domain subject matter expert. We've been discussing this all along, how relevant they are for the problem definition, for the opportunities needs, end users in terms of validating and verifying our solution, and design, and letting us know early feedback. Implementation subject matter experts give us the perspective on the solution, the architecture, and also try as align with the overall solution scope. Project manager, very important here as well, to get that kind of official interactions and relationships with the external parties and internal stakeholders, sponsors. Again, alignment with them in terms of understanding the vision, and also the testers for validating and verifying whether the requirements are met with what we're trying to do here. The design, they will be able to assess the design, the options that we have, the solution, potential solution, and see the alignment with the requirements, and raise defects if there are any gaps. So very important that we keep each of these stakeholders in mind and interact with them and engage them continuously. In terms of the various techniques that we have here, that we would use in this activity, again, acceptance criteria, very important, because they are going to form the basis on which we're going to test the solution, and then we will be able to raise defects if they're not done. Backlog management, very important, because you're trying to prioritize which of the features are important, which of the requirements are important and urgent compared to the others. So the sense of product backlog versus sprint backlog, and the general management of requirements, very important. Brainstorming to understand which design option could be, what are some of the design ideas that could help to communicate in a better way. So the brainstorming is not where we're talking about the design ideas, not just the ideas about requirements and what we should do, but it's about how we should present it, what should be the look and feel like. So we can again engage with the brainstorming. And the business case is very important here again, because each time when we talk about the cost, the benefits, and the potential, the tangible and the intangible offered by each of these design options, we should be able to actually create the business case for each of that. Look at the risk offered, look at the kind of risk registers and the risk mitigation strategies for each of those, and be able to profile the risk, the cost, and the benefit for each of the design options. And then perhaps the business case would actually kind of given a formal recommendation that yes, this is the best approach. So in view of all of these analysis that we have done, this is the best option that we can recommend. Business model canvas, again, same that we have discussed. Decision analysis helps us to come up with a good decision based on all the factors that we have considered so far. And then the estimation, again, is a great tool to be able to decide in terms of the solution here. Now we're talking about a solution, potential solution, be able to size the solution based on the factors that we know now, be able to understand what could be the impact in terms of the effort, the time, the number of resources required, and finally the cost estimate. So now we're slowly getting into that stage. We're not talking more about problems and needs. Now we are actually trying to talk about the solution and all the aspects of the solution that would be required for us to take a decision. And financial analysis, again, would be the backbone in terms of the business case, in terms of identifying the feature, the specific aspects of each of those different design options. What are the returns on investment? What is the potential payback and the break even and all those things. Focus groups, again, this is a potential technique that you can try and use here in this activity, because you have gotten to a stage where you've got some design options, you're slowly getting the solution into shape. So it's better to kind of have a recheck and reassessment and reaffirmation of the original scope that you have got, and how you're going to achieve that vision with the solution scope again. So that would be very important to kind of get this go ahead or a nod from the potential users or end users from these focus groups. And interviews with the senior sponsors and the senior management, senior stakeholders, sometimes with the customers and users. Now we would be starting involving the users as well, because we've got the design options. We'll be able to show them. We'll have this user testing, and we can showcase these the design options to them, the prototypes, and we can try and get the feedback from these. And these kind of interviews would help with the data gathering as well as a reconfirmation of our understanding about their needs. Metrics and KPI is always helpful to check whether we have got that sense of the measurements, and make sure that we are measuring it to manage it. We're assessing the right parameters to be able to take decisions on an informed decision basis, on an information basis, not on gut instinct or not on some whims and fancies. So they really provide us some really insight into what we're happening, what we're working on, and which is important to us in the context of where we are going. So effort variance, schedule variance, defect density, customer satisfaction index, and things like these would really help. The measures and metrics would help us to to align ourselves to where the objects, or where the objectives of the organization and the project should be. Risk analysis management, very important. We've been discussing this, very important, because we keep looking at what are the risks that are potentially ahead of us, what could be the impact, and how we can try and mitigate them. Again, needless to say, very important and very contextual here. Surveys, questionnaires, pretty much like focus groups we were discussing here. We'll try and get some quantitative aspects of how the people are perceiving the design options and the products that we have got it so far, the solution recommendations, how they're perceiving it, what is their sense of weightage to the options that we have got, how can we help them better. Obviously, as we discussed, they're not really great in giving us the root causes of the problems or the specific experiential aspects. At least they would give us some pointers in terms of how successful we are in achieving what we have set out for. So at least some kind of feelers is what we could get from the survey questionnaires. And the SWOT analysis, again, at this stage would help us to understand where we have come to in terms of how we've deployed our strategies. Are we right in terms of our strategic approach, and how we are leveraging our internal strengths and opportunities to address the threats that are coming in from outside, the external aspect. So very important to perform a SWOT analysis at this stage, to kind of again reaffirm and see where we are heading. Otherwise, the projects are bound to be just going in one direction. If not checked, it could be leading to a failure. And workshops, again, to be a good technique to understand whether the senior management, the middle management, and the field force and the workers are all aligned to what we want to really achieve in terms of the vision, the business requirements, the low level design and the high level designs. Everything is actually speaking the same language. And if there are any conflicts, any contrasting views with a workshop, we can get all of those different perspectives and different disciplines into the same room, have that surface those issues, surface those conflicts, and try and get some consensus quickly instead of wasting a lot of time with the emails and with the documentation and with making calls or things like that, which would not move. Workshops would actually kind of help get that consensus really quickly and move on quicker, so we don't have to spend a lot of time in getting those paperworks done. So again, very powerful technique at this stage. So these are some of the techniques that we could potentially use at this in this activity to arrive at the one, or obviously the set of recommended solutions that would lead us to the next logical step, next direction in terms of the solution evaluation